Howdy, everybody in YouTube land. We have yet another IBM Thinkpad. I wasn't going to do a video on this, but I figured why not? Now, remember, we had the 750, which had the tunnel vision and all that other stuff, and that got thrown in the parts bin because it's impossible. I got this one, but I forget where it came from. I do not remember. I got so much stuff now that I've got no room for anything else at the moment until I do a purge. But more importantly, we got this 755 CX. Now, I just lifted the lid and I realized that this thing has a Varda bomb. I just took it out, and then up underneath that Varda bomb is this infrared receiver, which I don't think my other one had. And this one, the cable is completely, utterly eaten out. So we're going to need to find a replacement for that one. But it's not critical to the operation of the machine because well, we don't need infrared for anything. Floppy drive still needs tested. The hard drive itself is just completely missing. And as per the norm, the main battery is also gone. I'd like to find one with the main battery so I can rebuild it, but finding one with a main battery that's still intact is almost impossible. But the problem is, I need it to know and understand how the BMS actually works to even make another one. But anyways, ooh, you can kind of see the spooge just, oh yeah, it's bad. So I have to clean all that up. That's not a big deal. But anyways, I want to get further down in here because I'm curious what kind of capacitors we have and stuff like that. But this machine does turn on. It does post. So we're already off to a really good start. And it's an active matrix display. So that's certainly helpful. I just hope we don't get into a situation with tunnel vision on this one like we did the other one. Well, at least let's hope not anyways. So the curiosity got the better of me. I shoved the hard drive in it that I was using in the 750C a year or so ago. And it started up, although we're missing drivers, I think, because we're too low of a resolution. So I'm running a driver scan to see if anything comes up. There's no sound either, but other than that, the machine seems to be running, so that's a good thing. The thing I noticed right away is we didn't have any sound, and I was doing the driver install, and it just wouldn't show up. Well, if we look at the BIOS here, we're running version 1.18, which I find funny because if I go on the internet and look around, says 1.20 supported the CX series, but we're running 1.18. Anyways, it wasn't until 1.30 we finally supported Windows 95 plug and play, which is an issue. So the reason why the sound is not working is because we don't have a new enough BIOS. But guess what? In order to flash the BIOS, you have to have a fully charged battery, or it won't let you do it. So what we're going to have to probably do is pull this board out of here, remove the flash chip, and program it manually with the binary file. Yeah, because inside the archive that I downloaded from right here on, what is it, vogons.org, this is the SYTPE blah blah blah, this is the image. Inside here is the BIOS file right there. So that's important. We're going to need to, yeah. So unless someone actually patches the exe file to remove the requirement of a charged battery, we're just going to have to flash that manually. So this top thing just will not come. It's just clipped in there. There's two big clips in the rear, here and here, and they just will not budge at all. I mean, I can flex the ever-living shit out of this and it won't move. That was pain to get out. So Whew, I even loosened the LCD display up and that didn't make any difference. But luckily they were able to get unclipped. They're clipped in really strongly up here in the back there. Anyways, getting the screws out now. That one there is a bit longer of a screw. Then there's a short screw that I just pulled out somewhere else and I forget where it went, but that's fine. So I'm trying to get this thing all the way out because I want to check for caps, but not only that, I want to get down to that BIOS so I can manually modify it. All right, well, I've got all that off now, like 20 different lengths of screws later. It's going to be fun to put back together. Even more interesting was this battery was still holding a charge because it still had the 2024 date on it, and I didn't set that. So, and I've had this machine for I don't know how long. But anyway, so this is a very interesting thing that they've built here. Look at this. It's like a double substrate. It's weird. But I'm not seeing any electrolytics on this side. We might be all right there, but I do see them down here, so that's going to be an issue. I want to get down to wherever the BIOS is, but this thing has got so many layers. I also want to check for leaking capacitors. Can never be too careful. However, this, on the other hand, well, there's some caps that are going to need changed. I should have those. So that's not a big deal. Otherwise, the power supply itself just has a polymer cap, but nothing else. So we're doing pretty good over here. Remove all that. There we go. I don't know where the BIOS is. Probably on the bottom, if I were to guess. Ooh, look at that corrosion. Alright, well, let's keep digging. Now that we've delayered the entire thing, this is more layered than the Toshiba stuff I worked on. So we've got a RAM expansion card, which is built into the motherboard, so you can probably upgrade that. We have the actual motherboard itself. We have all these little I/O expanders, modem, all that stuff. Then when we finally remove the PCM CIA card cage, which has 2 screws on the bottom of it here, a lot of these Pico power chips are everywhere. A lot of IBM branded chips too. We finally dig down to this chip right here. That's the BIOS. Now, unfortunately, that is not what I wanted to see. I was hoping it was a PLCC, but there isn't anything on here that's PLCC besides this custom Philips chip here. But that's it. And then, oh, that's the embedded controller. So hopefully that, I mean, even these are, everything is so custom in this thing, it's crazy. Alright, so that chip there looks to be just a run-of-the-mill 28F004, which I have the adapter to program this, the 512K of flash memory. Now, the thing is, the machine's serial number and all of that is programmed into this board somewhere. I don't know if it's stored in here or if it's stored elsewhere, because if I look at the board, there's a different EEPROM here. There's a 93C, which is a microwire EEPROM. So we've got another EEPROM in here. Maybe it's stored in there. I don't know. So I have to be careful with that. So when I read this flash memory, I'm going to save the original contents first. And then we'll overwrite it with the new one and try it out. Hopefully it takes my BIOS version all the way up to where it needs to be. But other thing I'm concerned about is this embedded controller. Because the original BIOS update tool, I don't know if it updates this or not. If it does, we might have a problem there too, but we'll see. Chip successfully extracted. So we're going to take that guy. Got to clean all the flux off of it first, otherwise it's not going to work. And then we're going to shove it in this programmer. I'm able to get a good read. But one thing I've noticed is... Well, here's the thing. One thing I've noticed is when I go to try to actually read it, it detects the right protect pin as being bad. Don't understand why that is. But I can just ignore it and it'll read it anyways. And I already saved the read. So if I go back, get out of here, device, verify, ignore. It picks up the proper ID codes from the chip and it will verify. Verifying flash. Succeeded. So, I mean, let's see. We'll just erase it. Erase, ignore. If this right protect pin is not able to toggle, it won't erase. I don't know if this chip has security built in or not. It could. Alright, well, device, read. Yeah, see. Here's what's weird. Device, read, ignore. See what that does. Oh, it's blank. Right protect pin is not. Guess it doesn't matter. So we're going to load our EEPROM. Downloads. All the way a long time ago. There it is. Binary. Intel hex. Oh. I got to close you. Windows and its default file access. So, okay. Device. Program. Program. Ignore. Let's see what it does. Hopefully this works. I mean, if the right protect pin had an issue, it wouldn't program now, would it? It would be throwing errors right now. Succeeded. But yeah, it shows a stuck pin. However, if you look at it, the pin that's stuck is this right protect line. So anyways, the latest BIOS is flashed on it. So it's now or never. Does it work or does it not? We shall find out. Flash IC has been reinstalled. Hopefully that works. Crossing my fingers that it does. I am going to take care of these caps right quick though. And I'm going to spray out this potentiometer. So I don't think I have these tins at 35 on hand, but I know I have the rest of these. I might have those in ceramic, which may or may not work. I don't really care anyways, because that's part of the modem circuit on this coupling, this transformer here. So I really don't care. But I do care about the audio path, so we're going to change those out. Oh yeah, in case you're curious if they were leaking, twisted it off here. Yeah, they are. You couldn't really tell until you actually pulled them off. Like there's a little wet spot under there. They literally just got started, which makes sense because this is from like 95. So, yep, that'll do it. Alright, well now that that's completed, we can actually move on with our reassembly process for testing. Unfortunately, it looks like those two 100 mic caps I used are too tall. So we've got clearance issues there. We're going to have to remove those because I don't have anything smaller. We'll probably have to like double up on these ceramics or something. I don't know. That's all I got. Unfortunately, ugh. I hate these non-ideal situations. So I've got 100s at 6.3 but not 16. So that's not going to work. Well, crap. That is not my proudest concoction at all, but it will work. It's just passing an audio signal out through these input outputs. That's it. All right, here we go. Okay, we're powered up. And no post. No, no post. That sucks. It no worky. No post. Damn. Oh well. Hopefully, I did save the original dump. So hopefully, hopefully it's not dead. Because that would suck. It would, wouldn't it? I don't think I got the solder joints good there because I just pushed on that. It's posting. See? Now it's posting. And now we're getting an error because, well, half the stuff's not plugged in. But, yeah. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to touch this back up again with my iron because I tried to reflow this in and it must have not have been a good reflow. So sometimes that happens. All right, let's try it again with the screen connected here. Yes, we got a post. A lot of error codes, but yeah, I'm not surprised. There we go. Got it working. It's a bad solder joint from when I tried to reflow that in. I didn't use the iron to reflow it. I used the hot air tool, but probably didn't get a good reflow, so I just used my chip quick and soldering iron and just tacked it like I normally do with this stuff. I just figured, well, I'm going to try to be neat and use a reflow with the hot air pencil over there, but nope, that failed. So, but this works. The BIOS has been reflashed with a new one, and yeah, so really, I think we're good. Well, I got to figure out what those errors are, but yeah. All right, here we go. So everything's just kind of loosely put back together. Now I put a short screw where a long one would have went by accident. So, whoops. Anyways, here we go. It'll probably throw a blink code when you first turn it on. It does. The way you have to fix that, because the battery's been removed, is we have to reset it back here. And then do it again. Now it should post. Yes, it does. And I got 40 megs of RAM because I just put a 32 meg card in there. Let's see. Error 173163. It is not 1995. It is 2024. Let's see. It's 2024. There we go. Close enough. I don't like the way the GPU does scaling, so I bet playing games on this thing would be interesting. But anyways, hopefully it starts detecting hardware and then we get sound support. Wow, that GPU is slow. Yeah, whatever. Do we get sound? No, we don't. So I updated the BIOS, but we don't have any audio hardware. No, none. Well, phooey. I probably have to go in the BIOS and set things up, so give me a moment. Alright, so we are running a newer version now, 1.23, when we did have 1.18, 327.95, 11.796. So this is the one that was in the zip file. So this is the correct one. So at least we know we have that. But let's see. Everything else though, I don't know. That's weird. All right, well, we're trying this again. Not expecting much, but we'll see. Like I said, I updated the BIOS manually, but perhaps the original BIOS flashing tool that would have run on this machine flashes the EC too, which has not been done. So that could have something to do with it as well. I don't know. But there was only one binary on the diskette, that F1 file or whatever it was, and I flashed that directly on the TSOP chip, so it should work in theory, but who knows. We'll see. Well, let's see. Crossing my fingers it finally detected something, but I don't know because the plug and play new hardware detected thing didn't start. So we'll see. It is Windows 95 after all. Well, what do we get? What do we get? Do we get anything? Besides a freeze. Oh, wouldn't that be something? Ooh, it does. Oh, plug and play BIOS. See what it does here. That's new. We didn't have that before. Reboot. Do we get new hardware found with a plug and play BIOS? Maybe. Yes, we do. Communicate. Oh, there we go. It's going to do this for a million times now. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. I gotta up. Well, it's gonna. I got to download the M-Wave drivers for the IBM Thinkpad, but we're getting somewhere. You know, I got the 95 driver, and I totally forgot how crappy these early drivers were, where it has to make out the full diskette before it'll actually do anything. So I have to go through this whole process. Here we go. Do we have audio? We'll see. Maybe. Oh, 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 oh. Here we go. Here we go. New hardware found. Yeah, that it definitely needed that BIOS update, or this was never going to work. And a lot of these machines probably never saw the BIOS update either. Yeah, there we go. There it is. And it's actually a crystal audio chip that's in here. Yeah, we gotta reboot again. Oh well. This is what it is. I completely forgot with the Windows 9X era that you had to basically reboot every time you did any little thing. Change a program, reboot. Uninstall software, reboot. Add a README file to the desktop, reboot. Change the resolution and colors, reboot. That frame buffer is slow. Oh, here we go again. It's going to want to reboot. M-Wave audio. See, when I set up Windows 95 on this hard drive, I installed it from the hard drive itself, so it never needs the CD-ROM, because you just do the Windows options cabs and then you do the system install from there. So then it doesn't, yeah. It's installing multiple devices. Oh, there's the modem. Not like we're going to need that anyways, because, yeah, it's 2024. Now it's doing all kinds of... I have no idea. I've never installed the M-Wave software before or used it. So this is actually new to me. Oh! Oh! Ho! Ho! I heard that sound. Let's reboot it again because reboot. But you know what? We had sound. Yes. 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 The BIOS update worked. So there you go. You gotta have that BIOS update. So we took care of a couple things. Actually, three things. We removed the battery, we recapped the soundboard modem, and then we updated the BIOS the hard way. If you had a good battery, you probably wouldn't have that problem, but we don't, so we had to improvise. But you know what? It worked. So why not? The only thing left to do at this point is to get in the screen and check that for capacitors. Sound? Oop, I heard it initialize. Yeah, there we go. Yay, sound. Well, you know what we're getting ready to do? We're getting ready to play some MP3s on this bad boy. Because why not? We did that on another machine too. Yay, we got sound. I was looking on Amazon to purchase a replacement cable because this one's been eaten out by the battery. Come to find out, it says I have a purchase history. Like, wait a minute. So I bought these when I was experimenting with the prison book. So I already have a replacement cable that I can use to fix this. So we're going to go ahead and install that in place to restore connectivity to the front IR receiver. We won't use it for anything, but I'd rather have it in there than not. So that's what we're going to do. That is much, much better. Certainly better than what this is. So we can start getting the base unit put back together at least. Now that we have the machine practically working at this point, the next thing we need to do is get this display assembly apart. And it looks like it's already got a crack here, so I'm kind of concerned. But this needs to come apart so we can check for leak-o-matics inside that thing. I'm actually quite impressed about how highly integrated this display actually is. So, the inverter is built into it. It's all like into a single assembly here. I have no idea what that... Oh, that's the contrast control. It's got a little rubber bumpery thing and it's stuck in the middle. Huh. Interesting. But yeah, we got to get this thing completely out so we can check it for sure. Looks like the inverter is definitely part of the display panel this time. And I've seen this before because the 750 was the same way. I like how integrated, but I also like how modular this display panel is. But also look at the attention to detail during the manufacturing process. Like, real. So there's a hemorrhoid in the middle of the display panel here, but it connects both sides together. This, I presume, is the inverter, and it looks like what they've done here was the inverter is actually part of the CCFL setup, which is strange. But I need to get in there and check to see what kind of capacitors we have in there, but also everything else. So I got to figure out how to take all of this stuff apart and start working towards getting down to the basics of the circuitry here. But it looks like we've got some of this yellow tape that needs peeled back, which has already lost its sticky anyways. And start popping this guy apart. But this is a very interesting design. So I'm just going to start peeling some tape back here. And just slowly start working at removing all of the parts. So to get the inverter out, I'm pretty sure you just got to peel this tape off, and then there's these little catches that release and you can just pull it out, I think. If not, well, we're certainly going to find out. I don't want to break the bulb, because getting another bulb is not going to be a fun experience when everything in the whole wide world has moved on to LED. So CCFLs really just aren't being made much anymore. So, you know, I will give IBM props to this, where it's due. They made a display that has a serviceable and replaceable CCFL with inverter pack. Now, the CCFL doesn't look like it's got many hours on it at all. It's still very good. Usually the more hours you put on it, the darker these cathodes get on each end. But yeah, I mean it's totally serviceable, totally removable. So if you had a bad backlight bulb inverter, you replace the whole set. But now comes the fun part. I need to get in here so I can check out the inverter. Well, the good news is there's no caps in this inverter that we need to worry about. The bad news is, well, that decided to fall off of there. And probably because I was pulling up on it a little bit, because there's actually two hidden screws under the label. Whoops, my bad. Luckily, it's not fatal. I can just solder it back on. But that's just one more thing that I have to do that I didn't have to before. The joys of retro hardware. Well, that is certainly a first for me when it comes to this Arrow hardware. Let me tell you. So we don't have any capacitors of significance that we need to worry about. We have those three purple ones over here, but those are polymer caps, so I don't need to mess with those. But just for the record, we have a 15 microfarad at 6.3 volt, 10 microfarad at 10 volt, and another 15 at 6.3. So just for the record, and this is the 800 by 600 display too, which the part number for that display is like right there. But I'm not sure who made it. I think this is another host side and Wonder Muffin. Blech. Anyways, yeah, I don't need to mess with it. That's kind of impressive. So we're just going to put this thing back together, but not before I clean it first. Now that the metal and everything is off of it, it's easier to get to the borders where a lot of this stuff hides. So we'll just clean all that off first, and then we'll put it back together. So taking it apart was kind of a waste, but also not, because we didn't know what was inside, and we needed to figure that out. And now I got to solder that inverter thing back together. Whoops, my bad. I got the display panel cleaned off. Now, there is some staining in the panel, like here and here. There's some staining. Well, it's in the polarizing film. You can kind of see it. There's some staining in the film, and there's not much I can do about that. So it is what it is in that regard, but at least it's clean now. I am going to pop this apart real quick, though, and check underneath it and make sure I don't see any signs of vinegar syndrome. And then as long as I don't, then I'm putting it back together. Perfectly clean. No signs of vinegar whatsoever. Good. So I can blow all the dust out of here and put it back together. That's about it for this little machine. Seems to be working fine now that we got the BIOS modified and all of that stuff. Now the keyboard could use some cleaning, but I'm not taking this keyboard apart. The last time I took one of these model M4 whatever keyboards apart, I ended up breaking things. So I'm not doing that again. I'm just going to leave it alone. So no main battery is what it is. I'd like to put a bigger hard drive in here eventually, because the one that's actually in here is only, let's see, it is what size is that? Yeah, 327 meg. So it's only, anyways, it works fine. Floppy drive works fine because that's what we were using to install the sound driver. So we're all good to go. So I think I'm going to wrap this one up. I'm going to get the port covers and all that stuff and get it all snapped back together, because there's not much else to do with this thing.